This process showed me how easy it is for someone to lose themselves because of love. I should have known better and reinforced my beliefs as a Christian. What happened between us was not entirely his fault because I shared in participation and I knew better. I'm grateful now that I can stand in my truth and honor my values. If you can see yourself when you read my story, I urge you to learn from my mistakes and choose a better life because you deserve it. I struggled with writing this story because I was fearful about my secrets being exposed, but I was reminded the only way to heal from something is to expose it. So, my prayer for you is to find the courage and the grace to leave that situation without hesitation because you deserve far better. Your freedom and sanity mean more. God is calling you from a place of mediocre to a place of greatness. Let Him teach you how you should be loved and how to show love. Welcome back to Queen's Mindset. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. If you have been watching us for these last 11 episodes, I'm telling you, get ready for the 12th one. This one is going to be, oh my God, I am so excited because, guys, I have with me tonight Natalie Murray, and we're going to get right into her story. So, but before we go any further, if you have not done this before, go right ahead and just click that button right below there. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and tag a friend, share it with someone, drop some comments below because we love to hear from you. But most importantly, subscribe so that you'll be kept abreast of everything that we have to offer. So let's get right into it. Natalie, welcome to Queen's Mindset.
Thank you for having me, Kamisha.
Definitely. So I know tonight you have such an interesting story. I'm so excited to hear it because I do believe that there are so many persons who can really be blessed by this testimony tonight. So I want you to tell me before we go any further, tell me a little bit about yourself. Who is Natalie?
Well, Natalie is a very kind, caring, selfless individual, someone who is not afraid to speak her mind or have an opinion on any issue. Most importantly, someone who loves the Lord and loves to pray. So that's really who I am.
Yeah. So, okay. So in your story, I know we would have talked about your story being about, being able to be healed from your tumor, the God just miraculously healed you. And that's such an exciting story. But there's also another story which talks about, what you would have been through with your brother. So tell us about your brother. How did he die?
My brother's life ended by suicide. I don't just want to say that his life ended by suicide. He suffered from a mental illness, and it was difficult to get help for him. It was difficult to get him to the psychiatric hospital for him to get the necessary help. And it was really hard to have to see him suffer and to watch his life ended because of suicide.
Yeah. And how old were you when this occurred?
I was 32, 32 years old. And my brother, he was 30 years old.
Oh, wow. So how was your relationship? Did you guys have a good relationship?
Yes, we had a pretty good relationship before he suffered with a mental illness, but one can imagine after the mental illness, the relationship would have changed, not because he didn't love me or I didn't love him, but I know when someone is suffering from a mental illness, there are days where they don't really understand what they're doing, what they're saying, and it's very, very difficult to communicate with somebody who's not getting help because he would not go for help at the psychiatric hospital. But I would say outside of all of that, that we had a pretty good relationship because I was only 2 years older than him and he was like my little brother. So we had a pretty good relationship.
Yeah. So how did this make you feel, to have to watch him go through such a traumatic experience?
It was difficult because it was not only me who had to experience it, it was also my mother. There are days when he would say to us, why we don't take him back to his real parents or why we don't take him back to the individual who raised him, it was difficult at times watching him deteriorate, somebody who was very full of life, somebody who will work hard. Many days he were unable to get up and do the things that he would normally do because he constantly heard voices, in his head, and some days I will watch him put the radio to his ears just to drown out those voices. And, I would try to tell him, why don't you let me get some help for you? But he didn't trust us because of the mental illness. He was paranoid as well. And he wouldn't eat from us sometimes. And you had to watch him lose a lot of weight. And he would not trust us enough to eat or trust us to take him anyway. So it was difficult watching him in that state. Very, very difficult.
Yeah. Wow. So how did you recover from this trauma? Because I mean, it's him who went through all of this stuff, but you were still on the sidelines, having to deal with it and hold it together. Like you said, you guys had a really good relationship before. So how did you recover?
It was difficult because he died in my hands, literally.
Wow.
Died in my hands. And I felt guilt for a long, long time. I felt like I didn't do enough. I felt like I could have done more. I felt like I just sat back and allowed him to deteriorate and not really, did anything to help him. So it caused me many, many sleepless nights. I think to this day, I am still not sleeping the way after all these years that I used to sleep before. And it is difficult because it's okay somebody died from a car accident. It's okay somebody died from cancer. But you don't really have that real support when somebody commits suicide because people are not as, caring and as sensitive. And there's a shame associated with suicide. So I really couldn't talk about it. This is the first time I'm actually talking about it. There are people very close to me and they cannot tell you what I experienced or what I went through because it's not something that I talk about because of the shame, and because of the guilt that I felt. I never really opened up and talked to anybody about what I truly felt about his death or anything. And I blame myself for a long, long, long time. I mean, a really long, long time.
And he was your only other sibling?
No, I have 2 other brothers.
Okay. So as you just said, with the stigma attached to suicide and everything, how did people make you feel? Were persons very, inconsiderate, or were they like how did they talk to you, or what did they say? Or because sometimes people can be very ignorant. So how was
I
that?
remember. I remember right after his death, a gentleman from my community, he said to me, I hope you put him in a very small box because he actually killed himself and nobody that killed himself deserved a decent burial. That enraged me to the point where I made sure my brother had the biggest box there was. I spent so much money to bury my brother and it all because of that one statement, and people thinking that because somebody with a mental illness ended their life by suicide, they not deserve a decent burial. And that is just how people out there think. I remember people not even coming to the funeral because they felt that somebody should not take their own life. But nobody looked at the fact that when he did that, he was not thinking straight. Nobody looked at the fact that when he did that, he was in mental anguish. He was experiencing a lot of mental pain, So I shy away from talking about it. I shy away from even share my feelings with people close to me. I never really talk about it, and that I guess the worst day I ever did because even leading up to the funeral and at the funeral, I was so strong. I didn't talk, I didn't cry, I didn't do anything. I just remained strong and felt my mother, who I guess was trying to be strong as well. But to talk about suicide is a difficult subject, and people are not really sympathetic when people end their life by suicide. So, yeah.
Every one of us has family members, dear friends, or acquaintances who've experienced suicidal thoughts, attempted suicide or have taken their lives. And every time, it's tragic. We know from all the statistics out there that someone in the ward is hurting. Someone is having suicidal thoughts in your ward. And as we come together as families, as churches, in a community, we can do better than we're doing now. This is the way that we decrease any kind of embarrassment, reduce any kind of stigma, and gain further understanding about the process. There's an old sectarian notion that suicide is a sin and that someone who commits suicide is banished to hell forever. That is totally false. I believe the vast majority of cases will find that these individuals have lived heroic lives and that suicide will not be a defining characteristic of their eternities. I think Heavenly Father is pleased when we reach out and help His children. I think He's profoundly pleased. But we shouldn't underestimate the importance of the church as a community coming together and helping each other through this life. Heavenly Father knew it would be a challenge, and He knew we would need each other's help. So what we need to do as a church is to reach out in love and caring for those who have suicidal thoughts, who have attempted suicide, who feel marginalized in any way. We need to reach out with love and understanding, and you do that in concert with healthcare professionals and with ecclesiastical leaders, with friends and family support.
Wow. I'm really sorry that you had to go through that. I mean, wow. So, okay, so after, so did the tumor, because I'm just gonna move on here because I know this is a bit touchy. So after that, did the tumor occur after your brother had passed, or was it before?
Well, before, but I still had it while
Well,
he
that
was
was
alive.
happening.
Right.
Right. Okay. And how did you overcome, or how did your miracle occur, I should say?
Well, I was diagnosed in 2002 with a brain tumor,
Mm,
and I was back and forth with the neurologist and, getting treatment and stuff.
yeah.
At first, people would say to me that I was in denial about the tumor, but I didn't think I was in denial. I
Mm,
always held on to my faith. I always held on to a belief that God is able to
yeah.
heal and God is able to deliver.
Yeah.
So I never used it. I never talk about it. People will never hear me complain. I used to have some terrible, terrible headaches. Some mornings when I get out of my bed, I feel as though I would just stumble and fall. When I stand up, everything around me was spinning. But I never ever complained. Nobody that knows about my brain tumor ever once heard me complain because I always believe that God will heal me. And
Mhm.
in 2011, I went to this service at the Empowerment Church out Country Road, trying to
Mhm.
remember the name. They had a service for about a week where the Hollises came in from Miami.
Mhm.
And I went a night when they were doing deliverance service. And in that service, I received my breakthrough for healing from my brain tumor. And I knew that God healed me. I stopped taking my medication. I stopped going to the neurologist. And
Mhm.
one of the signs of the tumor that I had, you would have like a discharge from your breast. Your
Mm.
period would stop. I mean, I had a period for months. But
Wow.
after that healing service, my period regularized. I started by having a regular cycle. My breast start running,
Mhm.
headaches subside. Not that I don't still have headaches, but I know not like how I used to.
Yeah.
So I can tell you that God is indeed a healer. And that's because I always believed. That's because I always held on to that faith that God will heal me. And indeed, He
Mhm.
have healed me. So I just want to thank God for that.
Wow. That's That's definitely powerful, you know. Wow. 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 So okay. What is your ultimate goal that you wish to accomplish? And when I say wish to accomplish, I mean with with this story, such a powerful story of how you trusted God, in a time where all odds were against you. And then also having to deal with your brother as well, because that must have definitely taken a lot, So what would you want to accomplish? Know that you have these testimonies that you can share with other persons.
Well, I always wanted to own my own orphanage or shelter, a
Mm,
place where individuals who life, where persons would have given up on them, where would they probably fell on hard times, where they
mhm,
became homeless or was raped, abused. I always wanted to own a place where those individuals can come and be empowered to live again, be empowered to reach their full potential, be empowered to dream again. A place where you can come and it will assist you in having a second shot or second chance at life. But I guess because of finances, I'm not sure how possible that is. So recently I've been thinking that I would like to be a motivational speaker where I can still help individuals like that, but
mhm.
in another way. So
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's definitely powerful. If you could tap back just a bit, when you were going through your tumor experience, how long did it take you before the miracle occurred?
it took a long time, over 5 years before the
Wow.
miracle occurred, but I never gave up hope. I never thought that God will heal me. Always held on to that. I always held on to the belief that God will heal me. Sometimes miracles will happen right away, and sometimes they will
Mhm.
happen years down the road. But
Mhm.
I always held on to my faith. I believe that God will heal me, and He did heal me.
Yeah. And have you shared this testimony already before with other persons?
Not really. Probably at my church, my local
Okay.
church, but have not really talked about it.
Okay. 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 So, how has your faith grown since you have been through all of these various adversities? Because I am thinking it has had to grow, very wide and long.
I would say that my faith has grew, but there are times faith is something that can fluctuate. There's some
Mm,
situations where you can have big faith,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then there's some situations where you will have little faith. But
Okay.
what I can tell you is that I know that there's nothing that God cannot do.
Yeah,
There is nothing. It don't exist. If God can, it just don't exist.
yeah,
And I also recognize that my timing is not necessarily God's timing, but never ever give up on that belief or that hope that God will do what you are asking Him to do. If it be His will. But I can definitely say that my faith has increased, and I'm at a place where I believe that God will do a thing, and I'm not letting go. Despite what people say, I am holding on to my faith and trust in God. So even though it may not look possible,
hmm
even though it may look impossible, I
hmm
know that all things are possible with God.
indeed, indeed. So, what would you want to encourage? What would you want to say to persons who are currently in a situation right now that may be similar to what you would have experienced? What word of encouragement would you like to share with them?
I would like to say to those individuals out there who may be experiencing a traumatic experience, do not shy away from your family or close friends. Find someone who you can trust. Find that close friend that you can trust, or someone from church, or even go to a counselor. I know
Yeah.
in our Barbadian culture, we don't like to talk counselors, but I would
Mhm.
say to you, find someone to share what you're feeling. Find someone that will listen to you and talk with that individual, because sometimes when you don't have that space or that outlet to vent or to get whatever you are thinking off, I find it can put you in a really bad place. So I
Mhm.
would advise individuals Do not isolate yourself. Do not isolate yourself. Try to keep your routine. Try to do the things that you're accustomed to. And I know it's difficult. Sometimes it can be very difficult to get yourself out your bed. It can be very difficult to stop thinking about that situation. But I would say to individuals, try to maintain the same kind of life that you were living. Try to go to places, get up and go places, get up and do things. But most importantly, find someone to talk to. Even if it's a counselor, find someone to talk to. That is very, very important. And with my brother, I find that I did not really allow myself to grieve. I did not allow myself to go through that process. You know, sometimes you're in a denial phase. Sometimes you get angry because I went through all the different stages where I said, God, why? Why? I tried to bargain with God. I mean, I was so angry at myself. There are times I was angry at my mother because she told me some things after if she had told me before, you know, I'd be more vigilant, you know. So there are different parts of the grieving process that you go through. But when you get to that place of acceptance, and it took me a long time to get there, recognizing you've done all that you could have done, you know, then you're able to heal and then you're able to move forward with your life. But when you don't get to that place of acceptance, it's very difficult to move forward.
Yeah, definitely. So when you were going through your valley experience, who did you have with you? I know, of course, you had God, but was there anyone close by, any close friends, or even like a pastor or anyone? Did you have anyone praying you through?
Yes, I had praying friends and they had individuals that I would talk to on a daily basis. So good friends and good praying friends are very important. And now I'm older, I recognize a praying friend is very, very important. Somebody that you can share what you're going through, and then that individual can pray for you.
Yeah.
There's nothing more important than that. That's very important. So I would encourage individuals out there to find someone that you can talk to, find somebody that you can trust, and find someone that you can pray with. Because I find that when you pray, it gives you hope, you know, and it allows you to take the burden from yourself and place it in the hands of God. So you take it from yourself and you give it to God. So to me, that's important.
Yeah. So you talked about, wanting to become a motivational speaker. When do you plan to start that journey?
Well, I just completed a Les Brown course. So that was the first part of my journey. And now I have to get myself organized and start to put all the things I would have learned from that course into practice.
Okay, awesome. So we can start looking out for you, probably doing some little short videos or something, and we can see you being post around and saying Natalie is, she's encouraging others, right?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay. Awesome. Well, guys, you have definitely heard it here first. You heard from Natalie, such a powerful story of how she was able to, overcome her trials and tribulations, and and being able to just hold on to God. And He saw her all the way through. I hope you guys were encouraged by something that Natalie shared here tonight. And there's something that she shared that you can apply and that you can, you can use that now to change whatever it is that you're going through. I know that you're not in it alone.
Good morning to all my beautiful women and girls out there. I want to salute a phenomenal woman. Here is what I know. And these are some lessons I took from the story of David and Joseph. And some of you might wonder why you didn't use Ruth or Esther or Abigail. But I want to talk about David. When Samuel the king went to Jesse, David's father's house, to anoint a king, Jesse brought all of his intelligent children. Jesse brought all of his intelligent children, the one with 2 and 3 degrees. But Samuel said, no, not them. He then brought the ones that could speak the queen's English. Samuel said, no, not them. He said, do you have any more sons? And Jesse said, yeah, I have a boy out there who tend to sheep, nobody. But can I tell you, it was David that got anointed king? Yes. You might be suffering from rejection. Yes, you might not feel worthy. Yes. You might feel as though you have nothing to offer. But like David, there is greatness on the inside of you. There are some lessons that we can learn from Joseph as well. When he was thrown in that pit. I don't know what your pit is this morning. Your pit might be a financial pit. Your pit may be a pit where persons would have written you off because of something you would have done in the past. Your pit may be, I don't know what it is, but we can see from our very own Prime Minister, yes, she was thrown in many pits, but can I tell you that like Joseph, she is Prime Minister today. There is greatness on the inside of you. Develop strong relationships. Not everyone is against you. Find those individuals that will support you and celebrate your vision and help you. Build your self-confidence. Take a course in public speaking. Read self-development books. I want to challenge you on this International Women's Day. I want to challenge that young girl who might have a physical disability. There's greatness on the inside of you. I choose to challenge that woman who is going through a divorce. There is greatness on the inside of you. That woman that owns her own business and things are not going well, do not give up. I choose to challenge that young girl who was told that you cannot break through in a male-dominated technological field. This is what I know. Research has shown that most women use the internet for movies, to shop, and to post pictures. I want to challenge us to use the internet to become the next internet planner and engineer. I choose to challenge that single mother who lost her job during COVID-19. Here is what I know. My mother was a single parent with 3 boys and 1 girl. Not only did she not have any support, but she had a disability. I watched her with sheer determination use her basket making skills and sold baskets and mats to the cottage industry. Can I tell you that money, however little, put food on the table? My mother could have become bitter and angry and complained, but she decided to fight for the survival of herself and her children by using her skills. The Bible said, by the sweat of a man's brow, he shall eat.
That's it, guys. You just heard it right here. We have now reached our 12th series. I cannot believe that we are finished. Wow, I mean, oh my gosh, I hope you're really gaining something from this information that is being shared with all of these, testimonies of how each and every single powerful woman have been able to overcome from their adversities. I mean, it's just amazing when you sit and you listen to these stories. I hope you are really gaining and taking away something from this that you can apply to whatever may be happening with you right now. You can see that, hey, there is a way out. I do not have to stay stuck. There is a way out because my sisters have gotten out. They have overcome. I can overcome as well. No, here's the other thing. If you would like to be a part of Battered Bruised Not Broken, you have a powerful story, you want the world to hear about it because you believe that with your story you can help someone, I want you to go right ahead, drop your information down below in the chat. You can go ahead and do that right now, or you can comment below, or you can just send me an email. The email is going to be listed down below the video, and just send me an email, give me your name, and let's chat. Let's get you started. Let's have you tell your story so that someone else out there can be free. So in this 12-part series, you'll hear stories about a single mother dealing with a quadruple amputee. You'll hear the stories of the journey to purity. You'll hear the stories about brokenness that led to wholeness. You will hear the stories about facing imperfections. You'll hear the stories of how prison led to purpose. You will hear the stories about fertility issues and how that rendered them barren. You will hear the stories about domestic violence. You'll hear the stories of how a miscarriage saved a life. You'll hear the stories about dealing with insecurities and finding your identity. You'll hear the story of how a headache led to a coma. You'll hear the stories about a fatal accident that almost cost a daughter her life. You'll hear the stories about dealing with suicide and a tumor. Natalie, thank you so much for joining. You were going to say something?
Yes, I would like to say,
Sure.
Kamisha, thank you so much for this space, because I've never talked openly before about tumor or about my brother's side, and I thought that to share those stories, that I will be uncomfortable or I will be very emotional. So I just want to thank you for giving me the space to be able to share, and I will encourage other young people who have a story to tell to contact with Kamisha.
Yes, definitely. You're most welcome, Natalie. Such a pleasure having you. So guys, before you go anywhere, make sure if you have not done it already, go right below and click the subscribe button, tag a friend, share this video with a friend, and spread the word so that they too can be encouraged. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Bye, guys.
Bye.